Today I'm going to throw out a fast little video about Legend of the Burning Sands. The thing I want to talk about it is the fact that, like Legend of the Five Rings, its economy system for bringing cards into play is different from other card games. Well, no duh, every card game has that primarily as its feature. Like if you buy a collectible card game, how you bring cards into play defines the game pretty much. I know Legend of the Burning Sands is a fully separate game and concept from Legend of the Five Rings. I could prove pretty easily that they had L5R on the brain, though, when they were designing this. Look at this guy. This guy is a Sahir from the Cabal. This guy may not attach spells. Okay, there is no attaching spells in the world of Legend of the Burning Sands. It comes from someone who was thinking about L5R when they typed up the rules to that particular card. So that out of the way, I just want to talk about the economy of this game because Legend of the Burning Sands has the thought of Legend of the Five Rings behind the economy system, but it was implemented in a way that made things very difficult. This is a chart that has all the holdings to Legend of the Burning Sands. Yeah, it is. It was a 3-set run. They reprinted a butt ton of these. So these are all the holdings. What's the average gold production of a holding? 2. Even with all of the hypothetical increases in cost, what does it go to? 2.4. I mean, Legend of the Burning Sands pretty much has you focusing on very specific cards as being good when you're running the economy. This is the alpha card of Legend of the Burning Sands when it comes to the economy. Not because of any other function except for it does 2 things. It is absolutely free and gives you 1 copper, and you can destroy it to reduce the strength of incoming attacks. That is a thing about Legend of the Burning Sands. A lot of its holdings have the special ability, destroy me to do something. So you could, I guess, clean off your board. Although if you've ever really played card games that deal with resource management through cards you have on the board that produce resources, having a fat stack of those is not a weak sign. It's not even a sign of bad design. It's a sign of, yeah, I have more money than you do right now. What you going to do about it? Flip through an entire stack of resources. I guess they wanted to clean it up for this game, but the truth of it is, gold-making resources are not useless the farther along your game goes, whether or not they have a special ability printed on them. Destroying them to make the special ability, clean stuff up, makes you have to make sacrificial choices. That is okay. That is a game design choice. However, in Legend of the Burning Sands, where you kind of want to hold on to every last scrap of copper you're given, it's kind of an interesting choice. It really makes the game more desperate feeling. So the wheat fields kind of typify the design of this game. They're designed to self-destruct later in the game to save you some problems. They produce minimal copper. As a result of that, we got to keep those as kind of like a standard to look at all the other cards. The cards that matter the most are ones that interact with each other. Most of them don't. If you were to look at that chart again, most of these strongholds have a special ability for the faction they're in. They don't have a gold cost benefit, which you think would carry over from L5R. Oh, my old friend, I'll give you this and this for this. So you can make more money off of the holdings that belong to your clan, right? That might have actually helped out Legend of the Burning Sands a bit, but it wasn't executed. Instead, we got the explosive special abilities instead. This is the best setup of economy in this game, if you ask me, for commoners. If you don't own rare cards, you want the Den of Iniquity, which has 0 water cost, Spices, which has 1 water cost, and Belly Dance, which has 1 water cost. If you have all 3 of these in play, this boyo is making 5 gold, and this girl is making 5 gold. So that's 15, 15. You only really need, honestly, 3 of him, 3 of him, and 1 of her to have the 20 gold from this knocking around. And then this, of course, these all produce 2. They don't do anything special for you. This is the only broad strokes thing I've seen where cards support each other in the economy in Legend of the Burning Sands. The only other cards that do that are these 2. The Bazaar and the Olive Groves in Menhir. The Bazaar also belongs kind of to that power sect I'm going to talk about in a bit. It's 7 freaking copper and only produces 4 copper. And now it does have the ability that if you have the most copper in play, you get to, destroy this holding to send a unit home from battle. Which, weirdly enough, you probably still have to have a unit in the battle to do that. Olive groves by themselves produce 2 copper, but they give +1 copper to the bazaar. So 3 of these and any number of bazaars, these will make 7 copper when you bring it into play. So it's worth the price you pay, assuming you're playing the Olive Grove game. The Olive Grove game, though, they're almost as deadly as the Jackal Hall of Souls. These are really good cards, but I want to talk about these as well. These cards all cost 1 water and 6 copper, and these 2 are unique, this one is not. They all produce 4 copper. They have some pretty good special abilities. But the problem is, with 6 copper, they clog up your deck unless you've got good gold flow, good copper flow going in your deck. So let's say I have a super optimized hand, and that's my first turn, right? What I can do with super optimization, I have a stronghold that produces 4. I drop a wheat field and it comes into play bowed. Oh my god, suddenly you can't do anything first turn. I know. That is the shittiest part of this game. But game design choices were made. So let them be made. They had their idea. They're going to do their thing, right? I have this 1 denarii card. What will happen is next turn, let's say I drop a Burning Marketplace as well. What happens is, let's say I have another turn. I can bow out, once this comes back, I can bow out this and play a 1 denarii card, which allows me to just make 1 gold out of nowhere. I can then drop on turn 2 the City of Orphans. I could have dropped that on turn 1 were it not for the fact that holdings come into play bowed. There's a lot of things that restrict flow in this game naturally. You can't just rush in and do things. And the one thing I feel like doing in the terms of economy is rushing in and doing things. With this in play, you could then, on your 3rd turn, this gets discarded. On your 3rd turn, you can bow these and bring out a 3rd turn Magul. Yay, how awesome. You could do the add-up game, which you have to have the cards come in through your deck. But if you're lucky enough to pull these at the same time, you could drop... this is 12 gold I have right here. I used 8 gold to drop a Magul. These high-cased cards where they cost 6 copper and do something amazing for you, and they produce 4 copper, these are a great addition to the game, but they're either unique, so even if you have a full playset, you can only play 1. I know that the Cosba, you can have 3 in your deck. But the fun thing is that, it'll potentially clog up your deck, because, you're making more copper, but you also need to have 6 copper in this game to bring it into play. There are no discounts in Legend of the Burning Sands. You must pay the cost. That being said, if you ask me, some of the better cards in this game, and that's why I'm bringing these guys around. This is the Burning Marketplace, which is nasty because it cuts into those spices that fuel the Debt of Iniquity and the Belly Dancer. However, those spices still just produce 2 copper. If they still exist, they will still fuel the other 2 cards. And it costs 0 water. That's why it's good. Most strongholds can bring it on first turn, either by themselves or using a 1 denarii card to boost that 3. Then there's the auction block, which costs 2 less, but you have to discard something out of your hand that is an item, a follower, or a spell to do so. If your deck contains no items, followers, or spells, this is kind of a rat card. However, it's only 2 gold. It's only 2 copper. It has 0 water cost, so it's not going to cost your life. You discard cards in this game all the time anyway. The entire game is about shuffling through your hand as fast as possible, really. The Cabal, the Yodotai, the Senpet, the Celestial Alliance, they would all use auction blocks. Really good idea for them. There's a card I don't own. I have to bring up. Sophia's Sweetwater. 0 copper. 1 water. Has this ability where you sacrifice 1 water to pay 2 copper. There's a bunch of other cards that do that, like the Scale Man. The Scale Man also has sacrifice 1 water to get 2 copper. It's a nice ability, but it sacrifices water. And the thing about those is it allows you to move a little quicker, and that's nice, but you're still dealing in 2 copper increments. And you're still coming into play bowed. So you kind of got to watch yourself a little bit. The thing I think really affects the economy of this game the most is the fact that there was never any discount for clan, which a friend of mine says, role-playing wise, flavor-wise, they don't have that same honor-bound thing they do in Legend of the Five Rings. Yeah, But they also don't have any kind of other benefit to having gold based on your clan, your faction. And so having the average price be 7 copper or more restricts you. There's no first turn drops in this game. In this game, with an economy that works like this, that's not coherent with a game that plays as fast as Burning Sands, where you have to flip through your hand a lot, where you don't have the time or effort to build up personalities for an assault. You have to start fighting as soon as personalities hit the table. You'll take water damage as soon as that happens. The resource scheme in Legend of the Burning Sands is definitely designed for a more long-burning game than how the game turns out when you actually play it. Which is why these are really good cards, but I'd rather have these backing me up, making my gold, because I can afford them. Timing and what you get is everything. You're not going to be so lucky that you're going to pull these cards when you want to pull them. You don't get to stack your deck in a card game. You must shuffle it. There's going to be random things happening. If you build your deck so that when you get the best luck, you get the best cards, your deck is going to screw you over every other time you play where you're not so lucky. Now, the fun thing about Legend of the Burning Sands, and my friend did bring this up, and he's correct in this angle. It's a dead game now, and we have images for all the cards on the internet, if you know where to look. You can just print them off, slip them in a card sleeve with, honestly, any other card. You could use cutouts of cardstock if you really want to, because you don't worry about the back of the card at that point, and just play with a deck full of proxies. That is a beautiful idea, and it is the best idea for making good economy in Legend of the Burning Sands, because then you can just print the cards you want instead of having to collect super rares. That's probably the most effective way to play Legend of the Burning Sands. There is the fan restart game online, but I've noticed they changed their rules and they changed some of the cards. They're like, we can do it our way. Well, congratulations. You just made it your game. That's a different meta than this game. Congratulations. You're no longer relevant to the original cards. I'm sorry, I have to say that because that's what happens when you decide to dink around with your rules when you're making your cards and doing your games. If I drop a Jackal Stronghold that has different printed numbers and abilities than the one you have in your fan remake, the fan remake is essentially a different edition in a different game. When you're playing Legend of the Burning Sands, you want to watch your copper production. You want to watch how quickly you're spending your water, although sometimes you get stuff for cheap water. I do think the game is playable. I never said Legend of the Burning Sands was unplayable, but damn is the copper game tight, and you have to watch over that. You might want to make a choice. Yeah, I'm going to be dead in X number of turns, and just assume to spend X number of water each turn to get to a place where you can actually work your deck the way you want to. But that's a choice you have to make. And if you're just walking into this game like an amateur random card player, you're not going to get that. Legend of the Burning Sands is a collector's item right now. And honestly speaking, you're going to find that you may just want to switch over and use the fan remake. Or you may want to switch over to just using pure unadulterated proxies. Because the original cards have gotten so rare and are almost so necessary for fixing the faults in this game. My friend told me like 3 other ways, I'm not going to mention this video, that you can use to fix the economy, but they all require you using specific cards that may interfere with other strategies of yours that, also require you to own those cards or collect those cards, and they're rare. So it's one of those things where, from an original design perspective, where the game was supposed to keep on living, the economy game in Legend of the Burning Sands is extremely tight. And you have to watch it extremely carefully because you can screw yourself over so badly. I have to say that because it's true. This is not a game for amateurs or casual play. Legend of the Burning Sands will kill you quicker than snot. Thanks for watching the video, and may the dice ever roll in your favor.